Okay, let's get ready for another big build, folks. Over the course of the next few videos, I'm gonna be building what I'm calling a library loft in my living room. This is something I've been thinking about doing since 2017, so I'm very excited to finally bring it to life. It is a big undertaking with lots of cool features and tricky obstacles, so come along on the journey as I turn my vision into a reality. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys an overview of the entire project, showing you how to turn a home into a job site, then also building some custom scaffolding to get me up to the height needed to start the framing. This is my living room. It is on a second story with the stairs coming up here. I've always loved how open this entire floor is and how the tall ceilings make it feel. However, the downside to that is the massive wasted space, which drives me crazy. Since buying the home, I've always envisioned a loft that comes out around the depth of the staircase, then is filled with bookshelves so that the addition not only adds function, but also the beautiful aesthetics that libraries give a space. Oh, but of course, a cozy reading spot is also required. Luckily, my attic is right behind the wall, so I have the ability to punch out a custom space. When I started detailed designing and planning this project, the idea of a skylight came up. Did you know that they have skylights that turn into balconies? Yeah. That's happening. Overall, I'm thinking it'll take roughly 4 weeks to complete this project. It's my plan to build the loft first, then all the demo areas such as the skylight and the reading nook, then move on to building the cabinets. Now that you understand what I'm about to undertake, now let's move into turning my home into a job site. Believe it or not, this is the first time I've done a big renovation project inside my home, and there's surprisingly a lot to think about between protecting your existing spaces, setting up the space as a job site, but also being able to live in it during the project. Let's first talk about different products on the market that are designed for this purpose. First one being plastic walling. I want to prevent any dust from getting into my kitchen, which would be a nightmare to clean afterwards. So I'm gonna wall off my entire kitchen. You have tall ceilings? It's not a problem. Icon makes poles that telescope all the way up to 20 feet and are extremely sturdy even when fully extended. Okay, so then I wanted the island as a work surface, so I snaked the plastic around it. Then, to protect the island, I used a scrap sheet of wood from my shop.
Dude, this is such a brilliant system.
It's worth noting that if I weren't also having to use the space as a production area, I would have walled off the back of my living room as well. I would take that to mean that if you're doing a project, try to enclose it as much as possible for you to still work in. Oh, but think about doorways. I need access to my kitchen, so I put in a doorway using a magnetic zipper. All you have to do is apply double-sided tape to the backside of the magnetic zipper, then pin it where you want it. Now I can come back and cut a slit all the way through the plastic, and boom, I have a doorway that easily opens up, but closes behind me whenever I go through it. If you have stairs, I actually have 2 recommendations. If your stair is going to be in the open, then there is a product called Stair Armor that is a heavy-duty cardboard material with anti-slip on the back. It comes with pre-folds, so it sits nicely along the treads and the risers. You can even overlap them to fully cover the stair and then use tape to hold it all down. Now, since my stairs are going to be covered up by the scaffolding I'll build next, I used a product called Stay Put instead.
Oh, nice. How anticlimactic.
This has a sticky backing that works on vertical or horizontal surfaces. I love how it's pressure activated, so all I have to do was align it to the tread, then step on it to press it down with my hand, and it stays in place. Other products I purchased but didn't use until later are things like ram board jam protectors. These will protect door jams from getting marred whenever I start moving in the big cabinetry later on. I also have a big roll of ram board, which is again that heavy duty cardboard to protect any flat surfaces. Later, I'm gonna use this to protect my final floor once it goes down. But if my tile were all exposed, I could have laid this out in order to protect my tile. Now that my surfaces are protected, let's talk about turning a home into a job site. After pushing all of the furniture into a corner or moving out whatever I could, I brought in folding tables to start bringing up tools. I dedicated one table to just hardware. This is a wide variety of screws and traditional nails, but also brad nails, 15 gauge, and framing nails. The next table is all of the hand tools, things like speed square, tape measure, hammer, chalk line, wood putty, box blades, all things in that category. Then table 3 is all of the power tools. Plenty of drills, circular saws, and the entire range of battery operated nailers. Then, if you have room, another handy thing is to bring up a miter saw and a job site saw. For my space, these lived on the porch so that any cuts I could make outside, I could. I definitely recommend thinking about it ahead of time on where you can stage material to make getting it into the space or out of the space quick and easy. For me, being on the second story, my material lived on the porch until it was needed once we start building. All right, home is protected, job site is set up, now I can actually start building something. So let's talk about building custom scaffolding. This space is funky to build off of ladders or traditional scaffolding. So I threw out the idea of building custom scaffolding to not only cover up the giant hole that is the stairwell, but also give us a nice big platform to comfortably build the actual big platform that will be the loft. Something to note, if you plan, then none of this has to be wasted. Once I tore down the scaffolding, I repurposed everything to then be incorporated into the loft. A few years ago, I discovered how great it is to have a laser level on projects, and this Bosch model is the best one I've ever used. It is quick and easy to set up, incredibly accurate, and the beam's visibility range is 200 feet. The idea will be to place a temporary ledger along the back of the wall that will be the lip for the sheets of plywood to rest on. We'll build up to the front and then lay sheets of plywood across. And if you watch my other big project series in the past, you'll see familiar faces on this one as I'm building once again with Cindy and Jacob. It's so funny to think about how many big things we've done at this point. Our first project together was an outdoor kitchen back in 2020, then renovating my dad's shop in 21, and then last year was the giant deck build. After throwing the ledger into the studs, we ran a few verticals down for extra support. After getting the front of the scaffolding stood up and spaced properly, I started pinning it in place with what I'll call joists. Since it's temporary, I just toenailed in one screw at the front as well as the back. And this is going to give us spans to next lay down the plywood and secure it down onto something. I strongly recommend these SPAC screws for remodeling jobs. They're engineered for wood, metal, plastic, even concrete and masonry, so you don't have to keep a variety of screws on site.
All right, so now that the foundation is laid, we cannot get to pretty much anything in this area because it's way too tall off the staircase. So the plan is going to be to lay down one sheet, do the assembly, lay down a sheet, and work this way.
Now again, since I planned ahead, I'm using really nice sheets of plywood here because this will be the final subfloor after framing the loft. If I wasn't doing this, then I could go with much cheaper material.
Okay. Oh, no. Okay, so the idea, guys, is that for the next week, I'm gonna need access to my bedroom and that stairwell. This will interfere with headroom. This one actually hinges. Woo, it's heavy. Don't let it slam. Let it slam. We'll be able to move this out of the way, and then I'll have a clear path if I want it. If not, then I actually, since it's just me, I don't mind crawling through there. But then this will allow me the headroom on the stairwell. So try to think of everything. We have the hole for the pole. We have the height to start building the framing and the loft tomorrow. We have expanded footprints in order to not bust up the tile. I think we're ready to rock and roll. What a good ways. We have the job site set up and ready. So I think tomorrow we're gonna be able to actually start cutting all of the framing members and start putting together the foundation of the loft. All right, guys, day one is done. I think the scaffolding is so cool. One of my favorite parts about being a builder is coming up with unique solutions for unique problems. So if you're ever tackling a big project like this, just be a flexible thinker and build what you need. This will allow me to have access to the stairwell. This removable panel allows me access to the bedroom. And now we're at a comfortable height in order to build the next step in this big series, which is the actual loft decking itself. So stay tuned if you're interested. I cannot wait to complete this one.